We also are one of the few Gibson 5-star dealers.
So that means
I don't know why they gave us 5 stars,
send you
but
ping pong balls every year?
we get the pick of the custom shop. Yeah,
Okay.
Let me run and get a guitar.
Okay.
You too can play a Steve Miller guitar on stage.
That's okay, we're almost in tune. So tell me, let's break that again.
So as I was saying, we're a Gibson 5-star dealer, which means we get to buy custom shop stuff. This is a J200 custom.
Kind of one of the flagships of their line, has been for a long time.
Well, as we were talking, when you stop by somebody at a mall and say, do you know what a modern guitar is? And they immediately go, D28.
Yeah.
You say, do you know what a Gibson acoustic is? J200.
J200, yeah.
The J200.
See George Harrison with one.
See,
among
just
other
about
people.
everybody. Elvis Presley.
Yeah, but George played it.
Jeff Beck on his Truth album recorded green sleeves
Oh, yeah.
on Elvis Presley's J200.
Wow.
So, J, Jumbo. This is actually an SJ for Super Jumbo. Guitars are named for their body sizes.
Yeah.
Here, this Collins you're holding is, I would say, a double aught.
Yeah. Yep. 12 fret neck and narrow body, just about the size of a classical guitar.
Something I just recently learned was that a lot of the sizes of the guitars came from machinists.
Oh yeah.
Machinist nomenclature. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is smaller.
Right.
0, 00, 000, quadruple 0
Yeah,
is
big.
growing bigger.
Right.
Till they got to the D for dreadnought.
Yeah.
Because in the 20s and 30s, the guitars were starting to have to keep up with banjos. They kept getting bigger.
Yeah.
Martin came out with the dreadnought.
Yeah.
At which point Gibson came out with the Super Jumbo. Or no, Southern Jumbo, and then
Oh, that's
the
right.
Super Jumbo.
Yeah.
And I think that as the story I'm making up, and somebody will go on the internet and Wikipedia and say, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about, this is true. I really don't know what I'm talking about, but I have entertaining stories, and I will get you the best guitar for you.
It's interesting. This is how folklore is created.
Exactly, so that's what Wikipedia is
Yeah.
all about.
We're in the creative side of
So some cowboy singer wanted a flashy guitar.
this. Ah.
Now, when they went to the big jumbo body, they were using a lot of rosewood, and the rosewood actually was, with this body, was so boomy that the traditional J200s are maple. But people like boom, so we had this one built with rosewood. Has a little bit wider flat neck. Gibsons traditionally have a real nice thunk on the bottom. So you get that good Travis picking rhythm thing going. And they have a tone of their own. We don't carry as many Gibsons as we do Martins and Taylors,
Yeah.
because the Gibson entry-level guitar is $3,000.
Right.
Whereas an entry-level Martin is $500,
Yeah.
same thing on Taylor. So it's difficult to fill out that, if you want a Gibson, you're gonna, we do have the songwriters, which are around $2,200, but for the most part, people are looking for the
And I
jumbo.
think, the general public is not as enamored with the Gibson acoustics as the other two, and way more into their electrics, obviously.
Well, right, the Les
That's
Paul.
their bread and butter.
Yeah, the Les Paul is the definitive. If you say just Gibson, not Gibson acoustic, everybody goes Les Paul.
Yeah.
Just like with Fender Striker.
I was just gonna say, you know what? Show me a vintage Fender acoustic that we're gonna like and be able to tell people this is a great guitar.
Okay, can I have some of what you are smoking?
So Fender, as great a guitar company as they are, if you don't want one of their high-end acoustic guitars.
Well,
Which they don't even really
the
make.
funny thing about that is for years they would struggle. They'd come out with an acoustic guitar, nobody would like it.
Right.
And nobody would like it, nobody liked it. And then in recent years, they went into acquisition mode, and they acquired Gill,
Right.
and they acquired Tacoma.
Right.
Both two excellent lines,
Yeah.
who had some challenges with the economy.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with their skills in building and designing great
Yeah.
guitars. And Fender said, oh, that's how you do it. And they took a lot of that design, and they went over to the luthiers in the Pacific Rim and said, can you build us one of these? And the luthiers, for years people, that's a foreign guitar. Those guys are every bit as good as American builders.
No.
It's just because of economic pressures.
Right.
In 1970, would you pay $300 for a foreign guitar when you could get a Martin for $300? No,
Right.
you wouldn't do it.
No.
So it just didn't make sense to build as good a guitar overseas. Now with the labor costs so high in America, whose fault is that? Well, it's my fault.
I'm glad you're taking credit for something.
Yeah, you gotta take credit. So when a Martin entry, a solid wood Martin is $1,500, an all solid wood Asian built guitar at $500 becomes an extremely good value.
Yeah.
And Takamine is one of our lines that was taking really good value. Yamaha has always built really good guitars. So you can get a foreign built guitar that in some cases will rival an American, if you're lucky, for a lot less money.
Yeah.
Because people still won't pay American dollars for a foreign, you know, which is why I'm not sure how we got there. But
We started talking about Fender and how they acquired Guild and
So-
Tacoma.
so now
And started shipping them
we're
overseas.
starting to sell
Yeah.
a lot of the Fender acoustics where they've incorporated those American design technologies built overseas.
Are they still using either of those brand names? They're still making under the name Guild for Fender, right?
Yeah, Guild is still a
But
wholly
Tacoma
owned,
not,
it's
right?
a wholly owned subsidiary, and they've actually moved it back, I think, to the westerly plant.
Oh.
Or maybe not. No, I think they're, because Fender also acquired Command,
Ah, yeah.
which is
The whole
Ovation.
Ovation line, yeah.
So they've gone back to the East Coast for the Guild. I haven't seen any of that product line. Economically, it doesn't make sense for us to try and reintroduce something. Right now, we're sticking with,
Yeah.
people buy Martins,
Tried
people
and
buy
true.
Gibsons. We're just gonna stick with that for now.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So that's how Fender is actually building. You can get a well-made, sold by Fender acoustic guitar.
Right. Right.
But it's difficult to get a vintage one.
Yeah. They really,
Whereas vintage guilds, you know, from Westerly, like Steve Miller's, it's around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Steve Miller's 77F.
Okay.
That's a vintage guild people are interested in.
Yeah.
Ironically, I refused to play Gibson acoustics for decades because my experience in the 60s, the ones I ran into were poorly maintained, lousy action, lousy tone.
And they sounded terrible. Oh, I know.
So
And they had really narrow necks, you know?
Which is why I'm not playing that Paul McCartney Texan, because it's got that really stupid neck.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's why Gibson is having a hard road coming back, because for years, that's what people thought.
Right.
And I never even picked one up, till we had, well, I was still in high tech, and of course I maintained my relationship with the store, and I was visiting with Gary, and he pulls this guitar out of the case, he says, check this out, and I'm playing it. And I'm like, wow, this is, yeah, wow. And the story behind it was a J45. Now, traditionally a J45 is a mahogany back and sides.
Okay.
That's what makes it a J45. This one had rosewood, and it was amazing. And Gary had pulled it, you know, it'd come from Gibson, said custom on it, so he pulled it out, and he's in his office, and he's playing it, he's going, wow, this is really good. And he's looking at it, and he goes, oh, because it said, and the label inside, which you probably, no, don't even bother.
Okay, yeah.
The label inside said Gibson Custom, J45 for the customer's name.
Ah,
It was a one-off they had built for this guy.
yeah.
So Gary called our rep at the time and said, hey, you know, we got this J45 and it says it's built for this guy. It's really a cool guitar, you know, so where do you want me to send it? And the guy goes, I'll send you a label, we'll build him another one. That guitar never made it out to the sales floor. Gary put it back in the case, put it back in the box, and it's up at his ranch. And that's one of his go-to guitars when he wants to relax.
Wow. Yeah.
So the thing with Gibsons, Gibson does things a little bit differently. Taylor on this side of the scale tries to build a very consistent instrument. So they have very specific procedures to try and keep the wood as constant as possible, which is difficult with a living item.
Yeah.
But they have very strict procedures to buy the wood. So when they get a piece of Sitka spruce, they know what they're getting.
Yeah.
And they have all these processes and stuff so the guitars are very consistent. And they build I order an 814, I know exactly what I'm getting.
Yeah.
You know, if you like an 814, not a problem.
Anyone will be fine.
Martin, a little bit more hand-built, but still, again, building towards the spec, I need a piece of Sitka spruce for the face of this guitar. Gibson, on the other hand, And this is great, because they plied me with a lot of alcohol and sent me to the plant.
Okay.
But they'll go out and they'll pick up a piece of wood and they'll go, and they'll look at it, and they'll tap it, and they'll go, I can make a really cool 200 out of this. It's backwards. They pick the wood and they tap it and they listen to it and says, this would make a really good something.
Wow.
So what happens when you build guitars like that is for this piece of wood, this is the best possible guitar it could be. It may not be the guitar you like, but for this piece of wood, this is the best possible guitar for this piece of wood. So what that gives us is guitars with a lot more personality. And
more variants than from
more
model to
variants.
model, from
Yeah.
the same model to the same model.
The challenge being is that if you pick up the, oh, I love this guitar, buy it.
Yeah,
Because I can't argue that guitar.
Right, right, a little more.
And it's the same thing with their electric, so they're a little less, because there's,
Yeah.
a little less, there's not as much bracing work to be done
Yeah.
to tune the guitar.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot. There's a reason we have 50 Les Pauls. And it's not because we like them, but
Yeah.
they're all different. And so when I tell people, and they look at me like I'm trying to sell them something, I say, no, seriously.
You better play them all.
It's been my experience, and there's a J200 out there and 2 Les Pauls that I still kick myself that I didn't buy. Because everyone since has not been that guitar. So that challenge that Gibson has is they're perceived as not being consistent. And I'm like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah.
It's like, if it was, if
Yeah.
you wanted consistency when you went to pick up your girlfriend, you could just line them up and say, I'll just take the first one because it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
not true. It's not true. You're developing a lifelong relationship with this person.
Yeah.
They're very unique and you gotta be careful. The same thing with Gibsons.
Right.
You find a Gibson you love, you'll sell you a God first. So,
Yeah.
so that's why we're really like Gibson guitars. We like the Martin guitars. We like the Taylors. We're really big on these instruments. The other thing, and it pains me to have to say this, as we have a very nice Collins right here, is that unlike the boutique guitars, these instruments tend to hold their value. The numbers I use, and they're fictitious, and I'm kind of pulling them out of the air here, but say you buy this HD28 here,
Okay.
which was a guitar that retails for $4,100, and we sell it for $3,100.
Okay.
And 2 years down the road, you go, it's just not what I thought it was because you didn't wait for the one that picked you, you picked it, whatever reason. You go to sell it, it's still going to be worth between $2,200 and $2,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not cut to half price.
Not cut to half of what's worth.
Half of what you
Same thing on a Taylor. This guitar
Yeah.
that you spent $2,900, still going to be worth around $2,000. Now Collins. And this one's a rare case because this is Steve
Right,
Miller's
one of
case.
Steve Miller models.
But a Collins guitar that you would spend $3,000 on, the day after you bought it, you'd be lucky to get 15. And I don't understand why,
Yeah.
but the proof is out there. You go out to eBay, you go out to Craigslist.
Well, there are less customers for those as part of it. Smaller customer base
Well,
looking for that guitar.
right,
Than
and-
use Taylor or Martin.
Yeah, because people know Taylor or Martin. And also it's kind of, a lot of those boutique guys go, well, it's like a Martin, only better. Better. Well, yeah, it is, but why are you comparing yourself to Martin in the first place? Maybe I should go play one of those.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's a reference to something that people know, though, too.
Yeah, and
If somebody
I
asks me
understand.
about my Ed Claxton guitar, what am I going to tell them when I say, oh, well, I know you've never heard of this guy. Hopefully you've heard of Santa Cruz guitars, and maybe you've heard of Collings, but you probably haven't heard of Ed Claxton or Mark Blanchard, and maybe not even, all these builders.
Yeah.
So once you get into that world, it's different, but that's a really small world.
It's an incredibly tiny niche market.
Yeah.
And for the average player, they're not going to
Yeah.
get the benefit of it.
Right. Right.
I have some friends of mine that, and I don't even remember the name of the builder. He builds one every 3 years.
Okay.
And they did some graphic work for him, and they met him. They go to Strawberry every year.
Was he a steel string builder or
Yeah.
not? Yeah.
And they just love his guitars, and they traded work for him.
Right.
But and I'm just going. I like your D35 better, and I didn't like your D35.
Yeah.
This is when I got my Yamaha that we'll talk about later.
Okay. Yeah.
This guy offered me his D35 for it
Ah, yeah.
back in '71, so.
Okay. Well, we should probably wrap it up for today.
I think
'cause
so.
You have customers walking in here that are looking like they want to buy some guitars. At least I hear people playing guitars, and your job is probably to touch base with them, huh?
My job, and this is something it sounds facetious, but my job is to help people find, actually, my job is to help guitars find their people. And I really approach it from that sense.
Yeah.
Here, play this guitar, and if I don't get, hey, I go, okay, that's not your guitar.
Yeah.
Let's try something different.
Yeah.
Because they are personal. Even the $100 and $200 Yamahas and Epiphones, if you let the guitar talk to you, and this is the best piece of advice I can give to anybody who wants to buy a guitar. I've been through 150 guitars in my life because I didn't learn this till later on in life.
Till the 140th maybe, huh?
I play a G chord.
Just listen to it.
I just play a G chord. And if I have to go it's not my guitar.
Yeah.
If I'm not going, oh, wow, what is this?
Yeah.
The other thing, and I do this all the time now, I find guitars when I'm helping somebody. I'll start playing it. Okay, that's a really bad example, but I had this woman come in and she was looking at the J185 EC.
Okay.
And I started playing it for her. And the song is coming out that I've never heard. So, excuse me just a second.
Yeah.
Got out the
Let me
iPhone.
record
And I
the
played
song.
the song into my iPhone.
Yeah.
And that's, when the guitar takes you someplace you didn't expect or ever gone before, that's a fair indication
Yeah.
that you need to, and I always tell this story and I always forget the guy's name. There was this guy, ukulele flatpicker from the 30s.
Okay.
And Gibson built a bunch of dreadnought 12 frets.
Oh, okay.
And Jackson Browne picked one up, song, found another song. And he was working with Gibson, Montana to do a line of Jackson Browne inspired guitars. And Robbie flew down there to have a meeting with him. He's handing in his guitars and Robbie's going, these are all great. And Jackson's going, you're not getting it. What am I not getting? He says, I got a sound out of each of those different guitars. And that's why he has 6 of them. And he tours with those 6 guitars because each guitar has its own song.
Yeah.
So these are the things you got to look at when you're picking up an instrument. Does it surprise you with stuff you've never played before?
Yeah.
Does it make you smile before you've even strummed the first chord? If you ever go, I'm not, the next word is not. Before you get to not, just go, okay, this isn't me.
Yeah.
And the sure sign to me that the guitar's not right for the guy. What kind of deal?
Ah, right. How
if-
cheap can I get this for?
If you're looking for a deal on a guitar, you're not looking for an instrument. And I got lots of cheap guitars. If you need to save money, that's not a problem.
Right.
That's not my goal. My goal is to find a guitar in budget that makes you go, this is amazing. I've got to have this.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Young
I
man,
look
it's
forward
good to
doing
see you
more.
and get to know you a little bit better. And I expect we'll be doing a lot of this.
I hope so.
So,
I hope so.
this is a
Maybe
real
you
treat.
could come down one of our Monday nights and shoot some of our open mic players.
I think we can do that.
We've got some great players come down. We've got some fun new players. What I like about our open mic is we try and cater to everybody. I personally prefer that people use my guitars because A, they're here,
Right.
and B, hopefully they'll find something they fall in love with.
Yeah.
But it gives people, a lot of people don't have a chance to play the $6,000 Gibson.
Yeah. No, that's a
On
treat.
stage.
Definitely a treat. Yeah.
So,
Speaking of treats, this has been one. So.
all right.
Again.
Thank you again.
Thank you again.